Just like I mentioned after the game, didn't play very good in any aspect of the game. Uh, Need to get back to work this week and get some things corrected and play a heck of a lot better than we did this past week.
Mark, it seemed like some frustration from some guys on social media. Are you okay with guys voicing some of that, or do you want more of that to stay in-house?
Oh, of course we want it to stay in house. Yeah, we'll get it corrected. Very easy fix. We had a discussion yesterday. We'll talk about it as a team today, and it'll be gone.
How does that discussion go when you're in?
About like you would think.
Mark, how's Landon Young, and how did you come out of the game this week?
Landon is better today, better than he was yesterday, so that's a good sign. So all the tests that come back have been very good, and he's feeling better. He definitely took a very awkward hit. Could have been a lot worse. We're grateful that it wasn't more significant injury. So we'll see. He's day to day.
Mark, you said after the ball game on Saturday that you didn't see it coming. With the benefit of hindsight, is there anything that you could have done better in terms of the preparation in the week leading up to that?
Certainly. There's a lot of things that we could do better. The preparation, the mental aspect of it, structurally, there's things I could do better. There's things the coaches can do better. There's things the players can do better. And certainly, with the benefit of hindsight, that we all can be better. But you don't have that opportunity. And, as I said, you don't always see that. And it doesn't make it okay. It's not our rights. But, the fact of the matter is there's very few teams in this country that could go out and play very, very good football 12 weeks in a row. The good teams, even when they don't play well, they still win and find a way to win. But in our league, you see some weird scores, and it's, sometimes it's fun for everybody just to points out the bottom line. But it's not always that easy for us. We don't compare things. Nobody likes to lose like that. I know our fans don't, and we certainly don't. But it doesn't always correlate. It's a very tough league. It's very physical. You see scores sometimes that pop out at you, and you take a good look at Mississippi State and what they do at home and how they play at home and what they've done this year. They're impressive. That's a tough place to play. I give credit to them. We certainly need to do our part to be more competitive and play better. That's for sure. Felt like it was till about 3 minutes to go in the half. It was a very close, hard-fought game, 3-point game. Then it got away from us.
How do you assess Tennessee coming into this game, struggling to score and not winning a conference game?
I think if you look at games, they played Florida close, we played Florida close. They played South Carolina close, we played South. They had an opportunity to beat South Carolina. We all saw that. They had a couple cracks. One play goes, one way or another. They beat South Carolina. It's a good football team. And same with Florida. Florida's a better team than people give them credit for, and they had a good opportunity to win that game as well. So, we know what Tennessee can do. I know the way people pile on people when they're not doing so well. I know how that goes. I've been there, and we can't control any of that. We got to control how we're going to play. I expect Tennessee to come in and play exceptionally hard, just like they did this past week against the exceptional Alabama team. So, we expect them to come in with great pride and play very well, much like we did a year ago.
Mark, when you look back at the Mississippi State game, what is it you take away from that game? What did you learn about the club that can help you in preparation for the coming game in Tennessee?
We need to, as I mentioned, we're not getting too specific or, we all accept the responsibility. We're going to move on after today, and we have the team meeting and watch the film. But we need to be more, we need to make competitive plays. And we're not making enough competitive plays right now.
On both sides of the ball?
Both sides.
What do you mean by competitive plays? Like on 50-50 balls, on winning your block?
Yeah, not even.
Kind of
sometimes they're not even 50-50. I mean, sometimes you have an advantage, and we're not making plays, and that's not okay. In the secondary, we're making very few competitive plays. You know, when we're in one-on-one situations, we lost, to my count, in that game, we lost all 10. 10 for 10 in one-on-one situations, we lost every one of them. So that's not acceptable. Same thing with our offensive guys. They got to go up and make competitive plays. I think the one that stands out to me was late in the game when Lynn Bowden went up and caught the ball in traffic, when Drew threw a nice ball and he went up and got it. Outside of that, I don't know if we made a competitive play.
Mark, those corners in particular in the secondary, they were really impressive as freshmen and maybe haven't improved a lot since then. What is going on with that position?
No, we just got to get it straight. We have. I don't want to, we need to do a better job of coaching them, and they'll respond. And I don't want to just act like they haven't all year. You know, they have at times, and certainly Mike's made some good competitive plays. Derek's made some good competitive plays. We didn't this past week. We got to get back to making some plays.
Is there an update on Mike?
No.
Coach, you said on Saturday and then again today that you really think that 3 minutes before the half, that drive was kind of where you lost it. Did you see a change in the players? What about that drive kind of made you guys lose so much momentum? And
Well, because we were fighting uphill to that point still. You know, Mississippi State was still playing better than us, but it was 10-7, and we had the football. That's what I mean by that. And you could tell sometimes when, you need to just get out of the half and regroup and keep it close. So we didn't have an opportunity to do that. I mean, that there's never one play in any game that makes all the difference. There's quite a few plays, and I tell the team constantly, how do you know what any one play makes the difference in a game? Some are more obvious than others, maybe an interception, a fumble, or turnover, or whatever. I mean, it's never any one play or one series or one drive. There was a critical moment in the game, but that wasn't it. Go ahead.
Last couple years, it seemed to me that you lost the momentum going into halftime.
Where at?
How you approach that?
What are you talking about?
Lost momentum. In other words, you get scored all
Yeah,
right.
where, in what game? In this game, you're talking? In a few games we have, in a few games we, stole some momentum. So, you definitely want to. I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't understand that how critical it is going into halftime. The last 3 minutes of half is critically important going into it and coming out of it. So we certainly lost on both ends this past week, but there's been other times when we've, stole some plays too. So.
Mark, bye weeks are good for injured players and get your players back up to speed again, rest. But do you think you lost some of that momentum with the bye week, and do you like bye weeks personally?
It is what it is. You'd like to come out of there a lot better than we just did. And, our players were sitting there probably in hindsight that I didn't do a good enough job. We're sitting there 5-1, and we all know there were things we needed to improve on. We tried to rest them and stress those things and improve on them, but we didn't come out and play as good as we can, and that's ultimately on me. So I've got to get them ready to play, and I believe in this football team. I believe in this staff, and we'll get back to work. It's 5-2. It's not a good showing. It's not acceptable, and time to put it behind us after this press conference. And I got to go and meet with the team, and we'll put it behind us. And can't wait, really, to be honest with you, to get in that meeting and get on to our preparation with Tennessee.
What did you see from Steven in that game when you guys went back and watched it?
What did
From
I see?
Steven
When I saw him where?
in film from the Mississippi State game? I mean, it was probably not one of his best games.
It was not one of his better games, but again, it's people. It's always, everybody together, and that's why you win and you lose together. We, it comes down to protection. It comes down to making competitive plays for them. Even on the interception, there was some miscommunication. By a mistake by somebody else, not miscommunication, a mistake. So. It's a lot. It falls on the shoulders all the time. And Steven, I have no worries that he'll get back to work. He did some good things, but he needs to play better, and he will. We threw the ball a heck of a lot more in that game, and And, that's, again, that's a recipe that, we're 9-1 in the last 18 games when we outrush the opponent. We're 3-5 when we don't.
Benny and Conrad, are they healthy or they're just not seeing the ball play from this whole rotation?
Pardon me?
Benny and Conrad, are they
Yeah.
healthy?
Yeah, they're healthy. CJ needs to play better. I mean, I think we threw it to him on the second play of the game, and he dropped it. So, I mean, don't, when you get opportunities, you make them. Benny, the carries was definitely low, but again, I think the game dictated that a bit. Like I just mentioned prior to your question, you were probably loaded for your question, but that's not the recipe. We all know we need to throw the ball, but you have to be able to run the ball too. We have to have balance. So Benny running the ball and pounding the ball, we need to be more efficient. We're trying to find that. That we need to. We cannot. We're not built to drop back and throw the ball over the yard, and whether it's protections, catching, all of it. Not just the quarterback, just in general. You have to have balance, and 80% of SEC football games are won when you outrush your opponent by 1 yard. Does anybody not understand the importance of that? Or do you just need to get into another business?
Mark, some of those obviously dictated by whether or not that's your strength, your forte. It obviously was a year ago with your offensive line. Are you confident that you can still run it that way with this group of offensive
Yeah,
linemen?
and that's not to say that, that's not the end-all, be-all. We need to be efficient throwing the ball, and I think we are at times, and been very good. And Steven's been very accurate, and we're leaning on some freshman receivers that aren't, that's not a business you want to be involved in all the time, so we need to find that balance and have some sort of physicality about us. So yeah, we haven't been as efficient as we need to be. Do we feel certain we can find that? Yeah. I mean, we have to be more efficient than we've been. And, there's no excuses. We just got to get better in a lot of areas. And running it and having some balance is critically important. That opens up some of our RPOs and throws and things like that. Because even in this past game, we missed some RPOs where we handed it when we should have thrown it. And those are some of the plays maybe that go to the tight end as well, and other receivers where we're just a little bit off.
So do you think your players are on board with that philosophy too? One of those social media posts was basically we should throw it the ball forward and we should be better.
Nice try. Nice try. Nice try. We'll all be on board after today's meeting. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Catches your attention.
They always have good players. Butch has had a lot of success for a lot of years. I know they've had some tough breaks this year, but he's obviously a very good football coach, and they have very talented players, and they've been going back and forth with their quarterback and made the switch, and I see a very talented young guy there, and they got playmakers, and they're a big physical team. They're a SEC looking football team. And you look at them across the board, and I know they've had a couple, bad games, but they've played some very good football at times, and they're very prideful players and very good-looking team.
Think Elijah Jordan-Jones played in the first game back?
A little rusty, but he's still active. He's still productive, which is good. It's good to have his production back and his energy, and he did some good things, but hopefully he'll clean up some things as well.
You talked earlier on about the maturity of the team, and this team get a little older and more mature. Do you expect them to be able to handle bouncing back from this on their own, or are they going to need the staff to really get their heads back on track?
Yeah, there's always a group effort in that. There's always a team effort. Last year, much worse adversity than this, and they responded the right way, and hopefully we'll have the same character within this football team. And I have no reason to believe that we won't. But I believe we will. Adversity kind of reveals a man to himself. So we'll see how we respond.
Mark, Who were the guys in the locker room last year that you leaned on the most, that helped sort of keep heads up and maybe turn the tide?
I think it's a group. There was a group of them. Same way, I think we have good leaders, and I have no reason to believe that we won't respond and bounce back.
Coach, a lot of the players have talked about how they're a lot closer this year. They text, they hang out together. Do you think that collectively they've already had some of these conversations about this is unacceptable, we need to do better?
Yeah, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have. There's no reason for them to panic and call a team meeting on a Sunday or, do all that. Everybody knows what to do. They've been educated. They're a good group. They're tight, and we just got to address some things like you always do, win or lose. You're always trying to improve and get some mistakes corrected, and we'll do that.
You talk a lot about physicality. Is that something that you can teach? Is it just a maturity thing?
A little bit of both. Certainly, some size matters and strength matters, but there's also getting some things cleaned up, and there's definitely areas we can get better. Yes.
Mark, when you did throw the ball, you were aggressive throwing the ball downfield, and you were good at that obviously last year. Are teams, do you think, maybe a little bit keyed into that this season because you were so good at it last year?
Of course. I think if the basics of looking at us, certainly coming off a year ago, were very effective running the ball and then getting you sucked up and throwing shots off of it. I mean, that's 101. So we've been fractions off on some of that this year. So we need to make them, whether it be a receiver go up and make a great catch, getting open, or just leading them a yard or two the right way. We've just been a little bit off. And it's not just shots, it's not just home run balls. There's intermediates. We've been effective at some intermediates, and we've been effective, at times on first and second down. And that's where, when I talk about, physicality and balance and running the football, that's common sense 101, but also I understand very clearly that you got to take those shots and be aggressive as we have. And, just like this past week, again, 3rd and 1, I okayed aggressive, going after it. It backfired, but you got to live with it. It was calculated. I okayed it, and we wanted a shot. We knew you got to hit some shots to win, and didn't happen.
Mark, you always talk about, on the one hand, how you go by your gut, but the other hand, when you talk to your kids on a Monday, which is probably as important, I'm guessing, as anything you talk to them all week, how much time do you spend preparing for your message, which sets the tone for the week?
Yeah, more than usual. I admit probably more than usual today. I could very easily go with my gut 5 minutes before a meeting, and I don't know. I don't want to say that's just been my philosophy through all of the years, but there's always some calculated messages in there as well, and definitely spend a little bit more time.
Would you say your Monday message is probably most important in the week, setting up the whole week of practice?
Usually, yeah, good portion of it. Mm-hmm.
Quentin Bohanna moved up the depth chart, and he played a lot in that Mississippi State game. What are you seeing from him that you like?
Quentin is just active. He's active, and we got to get more production out of that position. I felt like Nequez did some good things. Nequez was really banged up last week. For the past 2 weeks, he really didn't practice much. So he came in and did some good things. And Quentin's just playing better, and he's active, and his movements are quicker. And we just got to get more production. We can't get single blocked at the nose guard position all day and have winning defensive football. Can't do it. We got to get some production.
Mark, last year things kind of clicked when you simplified your schemes. Are you comfortable with the way the team has responded and picks up of what you're trying to do?
I think there's always a balance there that you have to look at. We always do. We look at that and critique ourselves very hard. It's it's fair criticism, whether we try to do too much or too little. You know, you're always just trying to find the right balance. You know, we need to do better than we did this past week, you know, so we look at that, whether it's 2 weeks off to prepare and maybe try to do, you know, too much. And, you know, we're always trying to find the right balance on that.
On the 2 quarterback runs for touchdowns, and the Fitzgerald runs in general, were those undisciplined plays by you guys, or did they just make Fitzgerald just make a good play in the back of the quarterback?
Yeah, it was. You always have to give Nick credit because he's a very good football player. Great respect for him. I sought him out after the game just to shake his hand and congratulate him because I think he's a really good player. Disappointing, those 2 plays. You know, the first one we had it stopped finally at the point of attack where we had worked on some things and we had it stopped and got cut out on the backside and not very smart. You know, football IQ where the back was set. It was an indicator. We knew, you know, we got weeded out, and it's very disappointing. And one player instinctually, you'd like to see him have a little bit better instincts, not running up, you know, field and sitting there. And then the other one was a mistake by a young guy. That was it kind of puts a black cloud over the, you know, when everybody wants to just look at the stats and just look at the score. It kind of stinks, to be honest with you, you know, because, you know, you're in a defense really overloaded to take that away and just made a mistake, you know. But those are things that you learn as a freshman and you get better. But, you know, very easily corrected, that one. The 4th and one, you know, it also really, you know, ticks you off because you kind of had it stopped at the point of attack and need to have a little, you know, we always talk about football IQ, you know, and I felt like we did take a dip in football IQ this past week, and I think that comes from that mid-season mental strain that you have to be clued into, and you know, there's a physical part of it and coming off the bye and all that, but then mentally you have to be really, really sharp or you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And I think our football IQ wasn't where it needed to be this past week.
Is it a hump sometimes kids have to get over? They get the mid part of the season.
It is.
Lose focus a little bit.
It is, and that's our job, and it's my job to get them to have that focus that we need.
Mark, you was talking about this game, pretty much upset as you were, and you probably should have been. But how long did it take you to step back from yourself and say, wait a minute, it's all good, we're 5-2, and we're not that bad. We're a lot better than we are now than we were.
Yeah, I never got to, I haven't gotten to that point yet, you know, so that's not really, you know, gonna happen till we get out there and play a game. As far as me sitting back thinking it's going to be okay, because I never think it's going to be okay, but that doesn't mean you hit the panic button. We always do. We're our worst critics, and you always look at things, whether it's a very good game or, you know, you win or you lose, you're always trying to get better and making sure you had the pieces in place to be successful. And, you know, that comes with the territory, and sometimes strategically, you know, there are things that we can do better, and you need to own those, accept that, and try to get it better. And there's parts of it psychologically or whatever it is, you know, it's you got to get them right. So I'm excited, to be honest with you, about today and this week. You know, I embrace it, and you know, I'm ready for it, and I certainly wish, you know, it was coming off a victory and a better performance, but I can't change the past, you know. So.
Is it impossible for any coach to check if the kids are just mentally drained the week before a game? Because it seems like this time of year, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of colleges, from the Washington States to whatever, 2 weeks ago, they're just laying eggs.
Right.
They're playing well, you've played well, teams lay eggs.
Yeah, you're right. I'm glad you just brought that up because I wanted to bring that up with the Mike Leach, whatever some of his comments after. I don't know if I get that, but I want to bring that up and make a note on that too. So, yeah. So, but it is true, and none of us. It's hard to see, and sometimes if you see it, you could talk and try really, really hard to overcome those things. The bottom line is you've got to be brutally strong, both mentally and physically, to endure that and to be able to handle that all the time. And I think all of us fight that, and there's a few college football teams that are brutally strong mentally and physically. The other 120, it's hard to overcome, and it's hard as coaches to you try to combat it as best you can.
Mark, as part of the coaching fraternity, you have to have at least a little bit of sympathy for what Coach Jones is facing this year. You said you've been there. What does that feel like, and what's your relationship with Coach Jones?
Without a doubt, it's I don't really want to get into it, because then it's sad, but it just opens doors, but without a doubt I do, and have friends all over this conference, and so it goes with the territory. We'll just keep it within the fraternity, and because if you say anything, honestly, 2 weeks you'll just be using it against me. So it just is what it is. And, we're all big boys. We can handle it. But doesn't mean you like it for your friends and people in the business.
Is there anything about Tennessee that particularly worries you, that suggests we're better than what their record and their numbers are?
What's that?
Anything about Tennessee that particularly worries you, that suggests we're better than what the stats?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, just look at some of the common opponents. South Carolina's playing very good football. We played very good against them, but they did too. They, and could even played better. There were some opportunities missed there, and still have an opportunity to win that game. And just missed. And same with Florida. So, sometimes again, it's real easy for some people that just want to look at scores. That it should be this or that. That it's different every week. Just like you were talking about, Alan. I mean, it's just you don't. Teams are sometimes it's a few plays, or sometimes you just can't tell. I mean, there's it's a long season, and sometimes some teams are hitting on all cylinders, or get a couple breaks, or pull away late and make it look worse than it was. And nobody likes to lose 45-7. But again, I feel like we didn't play very good, and we deserved to get beat. But there were definitely some plays that could have pulled that a lot closer than that. So you could either choose just to look at the bottom line or look at reality. The reality is they have a bunch of good football players there, and Butch Jones is a very good football coach, and they're playing hard for him. So they're going to come in here and play hard.
Mark, you've been in business a long time, and I don't know how much you listen to what's going on as far as the stands are concerned, but have you talk about the crowd, the cowbells that you heard the other day.
Well, it's what are their home scores? Like 49-0, 37-7, 35-10, and 47-5, 47 or 45-7. It has an effect. I think we all know that. So it's great atmosphere. I give them credit for it. I'm not complaining. I'm crediting them with a great atmosphere, and they played very well there and very energetic. And then you hate to be on the opposite side of some big plays and gets everybody going, and it's a great atmosphere. But that's what you embrace about playing in this league. The challenge of going into places like that and playing well.
I know you haven't been in the SEC very long.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been in the SEC very long, but at one time they were disbanded. Do you know what happened in terms
Oh, I have no idea. That's above my pay grade. I don't worry about it, all that. So, yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.
Caution your players about getting too wound up, knowing that this is.
Oh, I hope. I'd rather say whoa than giddy up. So I hope they're too wound up. So, all right. Thank you.